Hey everybody, it's Steve, and I'm here in my backyard in Denver, Colorado, chilling in the lovely autumn, sort of summer to autumn weather we're having. You know, I came out here an hour or so ago, maybe an hour and a half ago, and the sky was blue, and the sun was shining bright, and we've had weather in the 90s this past week, and it was hot. I was kind of baking in the sun without moving a muscle. I found myself in a different environment, in a different setting, where the clouds have kind of gathered and come in, and we're in a shifting weather pattern right now. The weather is going to drop 20-25 degrees from the 90s that we've been in this week to the 70s over the weekend. So this is a great segue, I think, into this whole concept of times and seasons of our lives. I bet you're familiar with that concept. It's a familiar concept, but it's a good one, and I want to ask you to think about 3 things relative to times and seasons of your life and your leadership that can really help you to survive what you're going through and maybe even flourish. Okay? So here's idea number 1, and that is seasons change, and it's not your fault. Okay? You don't make the seasons change. Sit still and watch the weather change at points around you. You didn't do it. It's not your fault. You're not responsible for it. You might like it. You might not. Doesn't matter. That's the whole thing about, if you think about how seasons change around the world, and the world is, northern and southern hemisphere have different times of weather. But where I'm sitting here in North America, wherever you might be, the sun, the earth is revolving around the sun, and it's rotating on its axis, and different things are happening. Not your fault. So those of you with high responsibility, please don't take responsibility for what happens at work, what happens with your boss, what happens with the family, what happens even, in the economy, when it's something that is happening. And that leads us to concept number 2, idea number 2, and that is seasons change for the better, for the worse, for the harsher, for the milder. And if you can hang in there and persevere, there's a decent chance that the season that you're in can, if it's gone south and gone poorly lately, it can improve. The economy can improve. The climate of things can change. Sometimes what's needed is no radical action, just some minor adjustments and some perseverance. I love the phrase in the Bible, and it came to pass. In other words, it didn't come to stay. And sometimes we can overreact. I know I can. And I can get myself a little overly agitated by something that in the end, or even sooner than later, shifts. And so sometimes there's a place for making minor adjustments and waiting it out. That might be good news to you. You might be built for that. That might be hard for you. I get it. But seasons change, not your fault. Sometimes you just need to kind of hold on, persevere, because it's going to pass. Third idea is sometimes it's not going to change, and you've got to do something about it. Again, it could be a minor adjustment. It can be significant. It can be a radical change that you need to make. Something changes at work. Your boss goes away, a new boss comes in. He or she is wonderful, he or she is difficult, and you have to decide what to do about that. You might get a diagnosis. It's not your fault. You didn't bring that medical development. It might get better with time. It might not. You might need to make some adjustments. And birds that refuse to migrate when they're supposed to migrate, animals that refuse to hibernate when they're supposed to hibernate, and people who refuse to adapt to changing times and seasons and situations can really struggle and may not make it. We've got to adapt to what's happening, to the reality of what's going on. And so, where are you? What do you need to do? Maybe you're in a happy place and it's just a season to savor and to be grateful for. But just be aware that seasons do change, and rarely does everything just sit exactly where it is forever. There's going to be ups and downs, and that's the way it is. Not your fault. Maybe you just hang in there. And then it could be that you need to really think some things through and make some modest, some significant, or even some radical changes to adapt to the changes in the times and seasons of your life and your leadership. What do? Think it through, take in some information, do some research, pray, find some good counsel, coaching, guidance, find your circle of trust and talk things through, use a little strategery and make a plan and execute it. So there's my word for you today. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Where are you? And is there a question that I can address more specifically, maybe in a future video? Reach out to me at coaching@getyourbusinessdone.com. Again, Steve Garcia of Get Your Business Done Coaching. Take care now. Bye-bye.